script was copywritten in 2003, so I had this idea a while ago, and the genesis pretty much was what would be the most impossible building to take over in the world, and the White House. And then I thought, marry that to the idea of a Secret Service agent in his prime. I hadn't seen that in a movie. In the Line of Fire had Clint Eastwood, but he was in the twilight of his career, and another movie that we like, To Live and Die in L.A., had Secret Service agents, but they were dealing with counterfeiters. But a Secret Service hero in his prime protecting the president, hadn't seen that. And I thought that would be a great hero to follow, and combine that with the most impossible building to take over in the world, and I thought that was something that audiences might be interested in seeing. When I originally started writing, I had a corporate job, and I would get up every morning at 4 o'clock before I would go to work, write for a couple hours, have my day, come home, watch movies at night, read scripts, go to bed, get up at 4 o'clock the next morning, and I did that for a number of years until 2002 when I was fortunate enough to win the Nickel Fellowship, and that got me my first agent. It gave me the confidence and encouragement that this might be a career. And so I quit my corporate job, and from that moment forward, I was pretty much full speed ahead trying to make it as a screenwriter.
We both had, good corporate jobs, and we owned a home, and we were kind of living the whole, I guess the suburban life, I guess you can say. And then, but it was just always our dream to write. It was always our dream to pursue our passion. And so finally, in 2007, we kind of just looked at each other and said, if we're going to do this thing, let's just go to California and let's just do it. So we've been writing for a number of years already. We feel like we've honed our craft. We feel like we've written a lot of spec scripts, and we were just really hoping that someone would eventually respond to. So we sold our house, and everyone thought we were nuts. Everyone thought we were crazy. Our friends and family were like, "What? What are you doing?" And if you're anyone from the East Coast, you don't sell your house in the middle of winter, in the middle of the school year. You just don't do that, which is what we did. And we were fortunate enough to sell our house right before everything collapsed, and so it was a good time. We then had this big high of selling our house and getting out here, and then the writer's strike hit. So it was like, okay. So it was literally one of those Entourage episodes, where you have the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, within weeks of each other, So then we came out here, and we just realized that every single day we treated it like a full-time job, even though we weren't getting any income. So it was working 40 to 50 hours a week, writing every single day, constantly working on new specs, because that's really the lifeblood of any writer. So we, from 2000,
our bank account continues to go down every year.
Our spec scripts kept going up. Okay, we have another spec script and another spec script. No money, more spec scripts. We had
a couple real close calls that we thought something was going to sell, and then it didn't for whatever reason. And at the time, that can be very frustrating, and you just have to keep persevering and just keep believing that at some point it's going to happen. And then in 2011, in the autumn of 2011, we got our new reps off of one of the spec scripts that we had written over those years. And we were grateful to get them. And when we did, they looked at our projects that we had, and they said, the first one we want to go out with is Olympus Has Fallen. And we were ecstatic because we had always believed that it could make a great action movie. And we rewrote it for them extensively, about 4 times. They took it out in March of 2012. After it sold to Millennium, we rewrote it for the studio, and then their director, Antoine Fuqua, about another 8 times before it went to the cameras. And after that long wait, we actually had our script sell in March of 2012, and the movie come out in March of 2013, which is almost unheard of in Hollywood.
That's
so
amazing.
We had a long wait, and then everything went really quickly. Antoine Fuqua brought some great ideas. The movie that you see is much more raw and gritty and edgy than the script we originally wrote, because that was his vision. That's Antoine Fuqua. He did Training Day. And so we pulled everything back to make it as real and plausible as possible. He brought in some Secret Service consultants that we talked with extensively while we were rewriting in pre-production, and they gave us a lot of insights. We actually had guessed correctly on a lot of things that we wrote into the original script. When they first met us, the Secret Service guys looked at us and said, "Who do you know?" And we said, "Nobody," because 4 or 5 things that we had just made up exist. One of them that I can tell you is we knew from our research that Truman had built the new White House over the walls of the old, and so we said, well, there's got to be maybe some spaces in between there to maneuver around. And the Secret Service agents told us Amy Carter got lost in them all the time, and that they really do exist. So that was one thing that we had guessed correctly on, and there was about 4 or 5 things that we did. But they were even to tell us a lot more, and we incorporated all that into the rewrites to make this as plausible and real as we could.
And it was everything from we went to the test screening, and we always heard these horror stories. Okay, you turned in your script, you turned in your rewrites. Okay, goodbye. We don't want to hear from the writers anymore. But we went to the test screening initially, and it was a really rough cut screening. So there was a lot of missing pieces in the movie at that time. But Film District was there, and everybody was doing their surveys and giving feedback. And they really valued everyone's feedback, including ours, and it was really fantastic. And to the point where even following up with Mark Gill at Millennium afterwards, he would reach out to us and say, what did you guys think? And we were literally able to go
and we gave him
through.
detailed notes, and we would give him like 15, 20 things, and he came back to us on each of those things. Yes, we like this, we can do this. Yes, we've already done that. This one's going to be a little tough because somebody really likes to go this way. But they were so collaborative and kept us in the loop so much. We were really appreciative. And
even comments on editing. I mean, we were able to talk to the editor and say, okay, that sequence when the trash trucks are coming in, you need to have them drop. There need to be pillboxes here before this happens. And they absolutely took our input and really incorporated it, and it was really a pleasure.
Well, Mark Gill, first of all, the president of Millennium, called us last night. We watched the movie we live down in Orange County in Newport Beach, and we went with some friends to watch it down there. We got a call from him right beforehand, just telling us that the numbers were looking much better than had originally expected, and so the studio was thrilled. And then today he sent an email to the two of us and our reps.
Just a really nice email.
Yeah, just in essence saying,
he's just a good guy. He's a really good guy.
We got an A- cinema score, so far, which has been the best of a movie this year. He said Zero Dark 30 was the only one that got another A-, and the numbers were tracking even better than they expected. And he pretty much just said, like, thank you, and if it weren't for you and your script, we'd have nothing, and we're just deeply grateful, which was such a nice thing to get from the president of a studio when you're a writer.
Yeah.